Okay, so I'm back. Last time we talked about how I defined love in just basically the desire for good things to come to another, or for their lives to be improved, or to be safe, or to be good in some sort of way. And then we started to show how that isn't necessarily clear because people don't always agree about what's best for someone. And I gave the example of two parents. One, some might say were not protective enough. Others might say the other one was overprotective. It's there's kind of an opinion in there, isn't there? It's hard to necessarily prove which love is the more effective, or which love is the greater, or which one love is right, or maybe they're both right. Maybe it depends on the kid. Maybe some kids can handle it and need a firm hand, and some can't and need a gentle touch. So love, while the definition of love can be quite simple, the application can sometimes be confusing. So I'm going to discuss now how we come to learn about love in our lives. And I think this is a pretty common lesson on love that we mostly get. Now, some of this could be triggering for some people because I'm going to discuss some things that may not be your experience. And I'll get to that. And if that is the case, I'm very sorry for that. But the way life should work is our entire existence should come about by an act of love. Right? It's the act of love between a man and a woman who don't plan to have a kid because they think their marriage is on the rocks and they think a kid will solve it, or they just need another pair of hands to work around the house and they can't wait till the kid's old enough to do that. Hopefully, in the ideal situation, which should be the normal situation too, is two people who love each other are brimming with love, and the idea of pouring out their love on another little human being fills them with joy, and so they have a child. And so I hope that's your experience. If it's not, I'm sorry for that. I truly am. Everyone should start their life being loved. So, if you're one of the lucky ones who did start your life being loved, this is your first concept of love. You wouldn't call it that. You don't know what it is yet. You haven't had chances to compare different types of love. But your first type of love is parental love. And the thing about parental love is that for the most part, it should be, definitely should be, and for the most part it is, fairly unconditional. It is not something you have to earn. Your parents aren't waiting to love you and say, well, as soon as you can actually toddle, then we'll start loving that kid, or when he says his first word, then the love will kick in, or anything like that. And just as that sounds foolish, hopefully it sounds foolish to say, well, we'll love them when they get their grades up, or we'll love them when they know how to drive the car without dinging it. Hopefully, the love is unconditional, and the reason a parent loves their child is simply for what I just mentioned. It is their child. That person is their child, and that is parental love. It is unearned. It is unconditional. Or if you'd like, it has one condition, that you be their child. And since you already are, and that's not going to change, you're loved. That's our first introduction to love. And there's a reason why a lot of people, I think of their childhood as being so happy. One reason they would say is because there's not as many stresses, right? There's not many expectations and that kind of thing. But I think a lot of that really is tied to the idea of love. You don't have to impress your parents. We try to often. Look, Ma, no hands. But we don't have to impress them for them to love us. They love us anyway. That's our first. So there is a lack of stress, because a lot of stress in life will come from our attempts to earn love. And that comes next. So sometime around the age of 5 or so, most of us go off to public school, or maybe private school. Doesn't really matter. The point is you go to school and you enter society. Now in this case, it's just society with kids, but it's society nonetheless. And one thing you start to learn is nobody loves you simply because of who you are. Now you have to kind of earn friends. You have to attract people somehow. Now kids are pretty nice. Little kids are pretty nice, and they're pretty much attracted to anyone who's also a kid. They'll run up, hey, let's go play this. Oh, sure. And that's about all you have to do is be willing to play games, which most kids are. So it's pretty easy at first. But as you get older, towards the end of elementary school or into middle school, this is when the stereotypical like cliques begin, right? And the idea of bullying and being left out or an outcast or the popular kids and the unpopular kids. This is when this all starts to happen. And this is all based on the fact that we're not loved simply because we're the child of two people. That worked at home, and that'll hopefully work at home your entire life. You'll always be loved by your parents just because of who you are. But in society, it doesn't work that way. We find we have to earn affection. And we might earn that affection by being funny, by being clever, by being a good athlete, by being good looking, or tall, or any kind of combination, or having interesting hobbies, or a mysterious look about us, or something like that, or great, very forward fashion sense. Who knows? And so we go off and we start to and as we do this, of course, we're kind of changing ourselves. We prefer to say we're finding ourselves, and that's partly true perhaps, but we're also kind of changing ourselves to be liked. We want to be liked. And maybe the people that we like, and therefore we want them to like us even more than the average person, maybe it's because we like their hobbies, because we have the same hobbies. So it does make sense to some degree that we're finding people who have some things in common with us. But the point is, our lives do become more stressful when we start to believe that love is more earned than just a birthright, something that is ours simply because of who we are. Now, it's not that. Someone might love us as we are, but they might not love us if we change a lot. If we decide, I don't really like this and this and this anymore, I'm gonna do this and this instead. And we might lose a bunch of friends because they liked us only because, or mostly because, of that shared interest or that shared belief or something like that. And we might lose a bunch of friends if we try to change. Hopefully, of course, you would never lose the love of your parents, even if you changed. Now, this gets amplified even more as we go older and we start to enter into what we typically call romantic love. And our society has really romanticized romantic love. Romanticized the idea of love. The idea is romanticized in song and movies. And it's been done so in what I would call a pretty dangerous way. Because we use words that are almost like, make it sound like it's a game or a conquest. Now, we all know the idea of sexual conquest, the idea that a man, especially men, maybe women too, but especially men, might feel more attractive or more manly if they're able to sleep with more and more women. It might feed their ego and make them feel like they're attractive and a good mate or something like that. But it's not just about sex. It can just be about the idea of attracting people. The idea, and we hear terms like, I'm going to win her heart, right? That's a phrase that we use, winning a heart or winning her hand in marriage. I'm going to make her mine. What can I do to make them notice me? How can I, and so on. And we use lots of words that show this kind of, that don't show concern for the other person so much. It doesn't show a deep love for the other person. It actually shows more of I want that person, and I'm going to win that person's attention. I'm going to win their affection. I'm going to persist and persist and persist until she finally says yes. Or I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And it's this idea that and it's an ego boost. If the girl that we likes us, or the boy that we likes us, it's kind of an ego boost because we tried. It's a validation of who we are. It's a validation of the person we've made ourselves into. And in a sense, we feel like, yes, she likes me because I'm likable. Or she loves me because I'm lovable. And when you think about the word lovable, it's actually a pretty dangerous word, because once the word lovable enters our vocabulary, it now indicates that love is earned. That love is something you attracted to you. You're at the center of it. Because I'm lovable, people love me. The credit goes to me. Now remember, our first introduction with love from our parents, the credit would not go to me. It's not that I'm lovable. I'm lovable to my parents only because they love me, because it's a credit to them. They're loving. I'm lovable only in the sense that I happen to be their kid. So I don't have to do anything. There's no credit to me. I didn't choose to be born to them. I didn't choose to be loved by them. I didn't choose to get their attention. I didn't choose any of that. They initiated all of it. And the dynamic of the love that they have for me is more a characteristic of who they are. They are loving, and I'm the object of their love. But out in the world, it starts to shift. And now it's, this person loves me because I am lovable. I did what I had to do. I charmed, and I persisted, and I bought little presents, and I did this and so forth. I made wee little jokes, and boom, my lovability paid off. Okay? Now, these are obviously two very, very different ways to look at love. In one case, the love is not earned, and the credit goes to the lover. The one who loves gets all the credit. And in the other example, a lot of the credit goes to the beloved. They have beauty or charm or a wit or something about them that makes them so lovable, and they kind of they attracted love to them not by who they are by birth, but by who they've made themselves into be, or who they've presented themselves as. That's another thing, right? We find out sometimes the person that attracted us just knew how to attract. They didn't necessarily have the qualities they displayed. They just knew how to display those qualities, but those qualities didn't seem to go all the way to the core. That's all something we've seen and learned. We know that about ourselves sometimes too, don't we? Now this is really important, because we're talking about the Spirit. And what sort of spirit, or what sort of love is it that the Spirit truly needs? And so, does it need the kind of love that we have as children? The love that loves us no matter what? That loves us simply because we have a Spirit? Simply because we are a human being? Or does it need the kind of love that we earn? The kind of love where we can give credit to ourselves and kind of pat ourselves in the back and say, yes, I wasn't lovable, but I did this and this and this. I really worked on myself. I went from geek to chic, and all this kind of stuff. And I have made myself into a fascinating and loving and lovable person. And so all the attention I'm getting now, I just deserve it. And so one doesn't really build up your ego very much. The first one does it, right? Because all the credit goes to the person who loves you. And this is one reason why we're in that phase in middle school and high school. Spending time with mom and dad feels kind of lame, because you got nothing to prove to them. They already love you. But you want the people at school, you want the popular girl, you want those people to love you. So you got to work on your image and all that kind of stuff, right? So we'll get into more about this next time. Which love is the love that we truly need? Or which one is a better example of true love?